And rather than sit around, we've got them all together today to talk to Angela and to me and to Rachel Reed. Oh, it's hard. I mean, governing is hard, and we inherited a lot of problems, an economy that was broken, NHS on its knees, and we've had to pick that up and deal with it. But in the budget, which was probably the toughest, I'm really pleased that we were able to put so much money into the National Health Service.
Keir Starmer, once hailed as Labour's great hope, now stands accused of blatant dishonesty in Parliament. During today's PMQs, the former Director of Public Prosecutions faced a barrage of questions he couldn't or wouldn't answer, leaving his credibility in tatters. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. From flip-flopping on winter fuel payments to misrepresenting the status of internal investigations, Starmer's performance was nothing short of disastrous. But what does this mean for the future of the Labour Party and the upcoming elections? We've got the inside scoop on the fallout that's sending shockwaves through Westminster. Keir Starmer's rise to political prominence is a tale of ambition, controversy, and increasingly questionable credibility. Once lauded as a legal luminary, Starmer's journey from Director of Public Prosecutions to Labour Party leader has been marked by a gradual erosion of public trust. His appointment as DPP in 2008 was met with widespread approval, with many viewing him as a reformer who would champion victims' rights and drive necessary change within the Crown Prosecution Service.
Oh, it's hard. I mean, governing is hard, and we inherited a lot of problems, an economy that was broken, NHS on its knees, and we've had to pick that up and deal with it. I think today is an answer to that question in a way, because here we are 10 days past the mayoral election. And I took the decision that we would take the hard decisions first. I think anybody who's turned around, I don't know, an organisation or a business.
However, as Starmer transitioned from prosecutor to politician, cracks began to appear in his carefully crafted image. His tenure at the CPS, once seen as a badge of honor, has become a source of intense scrutiny. Critics have begun to question the veracity of Starmer's claims about his prosecutorial record, particularly his assertion of having prosecuted thousands of sex offenders. This boast, intended to bolster his credentials, has instead invited skepticism and closer examination of his past decisions. The Jimmy Savile case stands out as a particularly contentious issue from Starmer's DPP days. While he wasn't directly responsible for the decision not to prosecute Savile, the controversy has nonetheless cast a long shadow over his leadership claims. Conservative opponents have seized upon this and other alleged missteps, preparing to use Starmer's past against him in future political battles. Labour insiders are growing increasingly concerned about the potential fallout from these revelations. There's a palpable worry that Starmer's focus on his prosecutorial experience could backfire spectacularly. The gap between his public statements and the realities of his record threatens to undermine not just his personal credibility, but the Labour Party's electoral prospects as a whole. As more details emerge about specific cases and decisions made during Starmer's time at the CPS, the public's perception of him continues to shift. What was once seen as a strength, his legal background, is rapidly becoming a liability. The inconsistencies between Starmer's claims of personal involvement in prosecutions and his actual organizational responsibilities have not gone unnoticed. The impact of these revelations on Starmer's credibility as Labour leader has been profound. His attempts to position himself as a seasoned prosecutor and champion of justice now ring hollow in the face of mounting evidence to the contrary. As we delve deeper into Starmer's past, we'll uncover even more troubling inconsistencies that threaten to derail his political ambitions and the future of the Labour Party. While Starmer's prosecutorial record raised eyebrows, it's his handling of internal party matters that truly exposed his leadership flaws. The Diane Abbott investigation became a litmus test for Starmer's honesty, one that he spectacularly failed. The controversy began when Abbott wrote a letter suggesting that white minority groups don't experience racism in the same way as others. Labour's response was swift, with Abbott losing the party whip and an internal investigation launched. This is where Starmer's web of deception began to unravel.
And rather than sit around, we've got them all together today to talk to Angela and to me and to Rachel Reed. But in the budget, which was probably the toughest, I'm really pleased that we were able to put so much money into the National Health Service, you're going to turn something around, you have to do the hard yards up front. Don't look at a tough decision and then leave it for a year or two. So we're doing the tough stuff.
Starmer repeatedly claimed the investigation into Abbott was ongoing, using this as justification for not restoring her whip. However, reports suggest the probe actually concluded in December 2023. This glaring discrepancy has led to accusations of Starmer telling a brazen lie in Parliament. The timeline of events paints a damning picture. Starmer continued to assert the investigation's ongoing status well into 2024, even as Labour insiders expressed outrage over his handling of the situation. The group Momentum didn't mince words, stating, "This is outrageous news which confirms that the Starmer leadership is trying to force Britain's first black woman MP out of Parliament." Starmer's credibility took another hit when Tory donor Frank Hester made inflammatory comments about Abbott. Starmer used this to attack the Conservatives, but faced immediate backlash for not restoring Abbott's whip despite the investigation's apparent conclusion. His attempts to have it both ways, claiming the investigation was independent while simultaneously using it to justify his actions, have been widely criticized as inconsistent and opportunistic. But the Abbott investigation isn't the only area where Starmer's honesty has been questioned. His handling of discussions about the EU vaccine program has also come under scrutiny, with accusations that he misrepresented Labour's stance on joining the EU's procurement efforts. These repeated misstatements and contradictions on key policy issues have eroded trust in Starmer's leadership. As we consider the broader implications of Starmer's actions, it's clear that his credibility crisis extends far beyond a single investigation. The Labour leader's pattern of deception and inconsistency raises serious questions about his fitness to lead the party, let alone the country. With each revelation, the gap between Starmer's carefully cultivated image and the reality of his leadership widens, leaving voters and party members alike wondering, if he can't be trusted to tell the truth about internal party matters, how can he be trusted with the nation's future? As the dust settles on Keir Starmer's disastrous PMQs performance, the long-term consequences for both him and the Labour Party loom large. Starmer's credibility, once his greatest asset, now lies in tatters. His repeated inconsistencies and apparent deceptions have not only damaged his personal reputation, but have cast a shadow over Labour's electoral prospects. The importance of political integrity cannot be overstated. In an era of growing distrust in institutions, Starmer's actions serve as a stark reminder of the fragility of public confidence. His mishandling of the Diane Abbott investigation and inconsistent statements on key policy issues have left many questioning his judgment and honesty. As Labour faces an uncertain future, one must wonder, can the party recover from this crisis of leadership? With trust in Starmer severely eroded, will Labour members and voters continue to support a leader who seems increasingly at odds with the truth? The coming months will be critical in determining whether Starmer can rebuild his shattered credibility, or if Labour will be forced to seek new leadership to restore voter faith.